So yeah, Hermosa, man, is lots of great stories. Again, 21 years old, having my first drink at a nice establishment was the Bottle Inn, and so every time I drive or walk by the Bottle Inn, I'm like, oh, it's so nice.
Oh,
yeah,
that restaurant, we have great memories there. That was our second date with Casey and I, and
oh.
they have
So you're very familiar with it.
Very familiar. Some of the best steak risotto ever.
Yeah, I love that place. It's got a special place in my heart, and clearly for you too as well.
If I'm not going to get into price points, but I will say, from Redondo Beach to Hermosa Beach, you're going up in price point. Like we're in an upward trajectory here on our way to talk about Manhattan.
Mm-hmm.
Now we're talking about a whole nother price point. So we're definitely going up.
Okay. All right, let's break down the neighborhood of Manhattan Beach. Like you said, the price point is a big jump. I wonder if you were to explain it, and I'll weigh in too on what I like about it. What are the things that Manhattan Beach offers that are just so different? What does Manhattan Beach bring? Because I feel like it brings a lot of things, and that's why it's probably what it is.
No, it definitely does. And I would say Manhattan Beach is the product of Redondo and Hermosa having a baby.
Let's say it again.
Manhattan Beach is as if Redondo and Hermosa had a baby, because in Manhattan Beach is significantly larger than both of them.
Mm-hmm.
You have sections in Manhattan Beach, whereas like in Redondo and Hermosa, you don't really. You have North Redondo, but that's a different neighborhood. In Manhattan Beach, you have East Manhattan, you have west of PCH, so closer to the beach side. We have the hill section, the sand section. Technically speaking, you can find your beachfront home with lots of land, a backyard, a proper front yard. And so you get a little bit of what you get in Redondo Beach and beach aspect of Hermosa, but in Manhattan. Of course, you're going to be paying a premium, but it's the best of both worlds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've realized, again, growing up in the South Bay area, but then always being in neighborhoods like Studio City, Burbank, or whatnot, because I worked in radio for so many years.
Yeah.
I realized that also, though, I've had a lot of Manhattan Beach experiences. I didn't even necessarily realize. I mean, I worked near the Manhattan Village, which that had got a huge revamp. The complex that's next to, I believe that's what it's called, the Manhattan Village.
Yeah.
The complex next to it, which is closer to El Segundo, that didn't even exist back in the day. And also, here's where you get a little more, like I think you mentioned this earlier.
Where the OC was filmed too. A lot of movies and shows have been filmed on the Redondo Beach Pier.
A little bit of Hollywood bleeding in to some degree. Not Hollywood per se, but there is the Raleigh Studios, which I will tell you, when I was, I think, 19 or 20 or 21 years old, I used to be an extra on some of those shows that were at Raleigh Studios. Yeah. David E. Kelly had all these shows at the time. There was the one with Calista Flockhart. Boston Public was one of the shows I did all the time. So I was an extra in Manhattan Beach. So it was like the best of both worlds. It was like South Bay living, beach cities, but then Hollywood right there, but at the Raleigh Studios. This was like such a cool experience when I was sort of getting into the business, I guess you would say, of doing extra work.
A little bit of everything. You got your studios there. You have a lot of corporate companies that work out of Manhattan Beach, towards the east side of Manhattan Beach. Big corporations are, multinational corporations. Sports teams, right? You have the LA Kings that work out right down the street, and the Lakers that work out right down the street. So, yeah, it's kind of a melting pot, but you definitely get a lot of that Hollywood, Beverly Hills people coming this way. Yeah.
Now, talk about because I believe I've always heard that with the sports, the professional Los Angeles sports teams, a lot of the facilities or training facilities are like kind of in El Segundo. So there is a lot of these, big world-class athletes who dip into Manhattan Beach, either living there or coming to the fine dining and stuff like that. That's another thing that is a little bit different. Redondo, fun, amazing, great places to eat and all these things, just like Hermosa. But Manhattan is like, they get busy. Manhattan is where you get to have a really wonderful culinary experience.
On any given day, you go down there for dinner or cocktail or happy hour, have some cocktails with friends. You'll run into an athlete. You'll rub elbows with somebody. If we're down at North End Bar or on the pier in Manhattan, you got a Kings player right down the street, or in the same bar as you. In my case, I used to work down in Manhattan Beach. I worked at a little cafe as I was transitioning into real estate. And Kendrick Lamar came in every single day for breakfast. He lived right down the street, and so he'd come in, order his thing, and just sit at the bar and just chill. So yeah, you get a lot of celebrity out there.
Yeah, it's a great neighborhood. I could talk on and on about all these neighborhoods, and I think you made a great mention, which is just how big Manhattan Beach is. It's broken up into so many different neighborhoods within the neighborhood. So I definitely like that. And yeah, I mean, that's one of the things that maybe took for granted of Manhattan Beach years ago was all that you could do there. I feel like my mind was like, this is what it is. But then again, lately I'm like, no, there's like fine dining here, but also cool, chill neighborhoods or
Yes.
chill restaurants as well.
Yeah, and I think that's the city. I think the city takes a lot of pride in making sure that it stays as beautiful as it is.
Um, uh, just in terms of geography, I guess the dunes was also a thing as well at one point, right?
Still is. But the dunes. So for those who are watching and listening that don't know, the dunes are literally sand dunes in the middle of a neighborhood. And it was very popular to work out at, and it still is. But it's become such a popular destination that now you have
Mhm.
to reserve spots to go and work out there.
I want to stay on that because one thing I do love is, wherever you're walking in any of these neighborhoods, Redondo, Hermosa, or Manhattan, amazing. But the Strand, specifically, I guess it feels like it starts in Hermosa, but it certainly extends. I
Yeah,
think that's one thing that, like, however you feel about, oh my gosh, these neighborhoods, I'll never be able to afford them. Of course, we always say, try to, hope that maybe one day you can do it. Obviously, like, it's expensive.
yeah,
But I'm going to say that for me, one thing that is so motivating to try to achieve something like that and to live in those places is okay, as somebody who struggled with my weight, I love being around just everyone walking, jogging, running, on a bike, on a skateboard. Like there's something that really just connects to you. Volleyball, running in the sand. That mess is cool to me, Lewis.
100%. And it's in our backyard. We grew up with it, and we're definitely fortunate enough that we did grow up so close to it.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, I mean, it's probably the best part of living down in the beach cities.
Beach City,
Where
South Bay. South
we
Bay, not to be confused with South Bay in San Francisco.
South Bay, the real South Bay.
Yeah, yeah. This is like the little pocket of the South Bay.
It has something for everybody. I mean, no matter what you're into, there's something that you can do that you'll thoroughly enjoy with either walking distance or a short drive. LA is huge, but there's just so much to do, and I think that's super special.
Yeah, it is a special place. People do love it, and I always like to stretch our imagination where we don't just say, "Oh, I love LA" or wherever you love because of this, this, and this. I'm always like, let's talk about more. Let's like really explore it. That's what makes neighborhoods really exciting. Looking at like the history and the future and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
It's exciting to me. Um, just so we do a little bit of a
yeah.
plug and a promo. The social media handle and your website is on the screen, and of course, all my stuff as well. Tell me a little bit about the Palacios Group and how it's thriving and what you intend to do.
So the Palacios Group was really when I first started in real estate, I was working on someone else's team, and I thought that was prudent of me only to in order for me to like really learn the basics. And when you go to real estate school, they don't really teach you how to do real estate. They teach you the the fundamentals of what real estate is, but not so much how to run a business and how to carry yourself and how to become a successful agent. And so I worked for a team for a little bit, and then I realized that I was able to do it on my own. So that's when I started the Palacios Group. I hired on a couple of agents that work for me now, and um, rather work with me now because we're such a collaborative team.
Mhm.
What the future holds, who knows? But the idea is to grow it into a bigger team,
Mhm.
of like-minded agents who love this business, who are passionate about this business, and who just want to be able to um, do it the right way, and make sure that people are informed and are successful in what they want to do.
Yeah.
So our slogan, our tagline is creating generational wealth. We want to be able to make sure that everyone, at one point owns real estate, and if not more, multiple homes and leaves something to their families, or leaves a legacy through real estate, because it's really the biggest way, or the best way to create wealth.
I have not seen you lose your enthusiasm for this kind of work. So that's really cool to see.
You know what? It's because I really do love it. I really am passionate about making sure that everybody, who my clients and people who want to buy homes and use us as their agents, are treated the right way and are doing it with the best information possible. Don't get me wrong. I mean, this business has its ups and downs. This past year is probably the most challenging year I've had. Not so far as like business itself, but the transactions. There was a couple of them that really threw me through the loop. But yeah, I love this. I wouldn't trade it for the world.
Well, I guess that's it for me. I'm just a student right now learning. Thank you. Go to the Palacios group on Instagram, and of course, hit his website and all these things. If you had any questions about these neighborhoods and other neighborhoods in Los Angeles, you think of like Palm Springs as an amazing, there's so many things we could explore there,
Yeah, and that's a secondary market for us. So while we do concentrate our efforts here in the South Bay,
Mhm.
The Coachella Valley, Palm Springs, Palm Desert, Rancho Mirage, if anybody's watching or listening, we take care of that market as well.
Hey, Ronnie Jr.